And a very good afternoon. Welcome to the Saturday preview with myself, Dave Massey, coming to you 3:20 on a Friday afternoon. As you can probably tell, I'm not at Huntingdon, which is probably just as well. I did put on the punt this morning. I was sort of 50-50 about going to Huntingdon today. As soon as I saw the news of the inspection, that basically made my mind up. So good job I didn't go, because poor old Huntingdon have lost another fixture. The brook by the side of the river, by the side of the course, I should say, has burst, and it's very, very quickly filled the course with water, and it's basically unraceable. So yeah, rather glad I didn't go, but it has given me a bit more time to look at the cards for Saturday's racing, which on first glance I thought I don't think I'm massively interested in, but then the more you dig, and I have done a bit of digging because I've done the whole of the Kempton card for the Sporting Life tomorrow. So if you go to the Sporting Life website, race cards, Kempton, the comments on there are mine, so you can have a good old look at those and see. You'll be able to sort of see how well or otherwise I do tomorrow on that Kempton card. I think there's a couple of obvious ones, but I'll try to sort of put one or two value selections up, as I always do. You can put 7 favourites up and look clever when 5 of them win, but that's not really my way. I'd rather try and find a bit of value for us, a decent price. The last 4 at Kempton have all got some interest, and at Warwick we'll have a look at the classic as well, the big chase there, because that's of some interest as well. We'll do Kempton first though. The 130, which is a handicap chase, 2.5 mile, and the obvious one is Sammy Bill, who's 2 from 2. Looks a really exciting prospect actually. He's jumped really well on both of his starts, including round here in November when he beat Celtic Joy by 11 lengths. That was off a mark of 110. He's off 135 tomorrow, so you can see how quickly he's improving just 2 runs later. But his jumping's been really good. His jumping's put him in good stead. This is harder, I mean, he's tackling better company tomorrow, and as I say, he's up another £11 from his Aintree win at the beginning of December. And I just wouldn't have the price difference. He should be favourite, of course he should be favourite, and he's 6-4, but I probably wouldn't have him I probably wouldn't have Mercy and Prince quite so far away from him. 7-1 looks a big price for a horse that will be primed tomorrow for this, so that there's no doubt. Mercy and Prince has won this race for the last 2 years, so that tells you plenty. He'll be ready for this tomorrow. Mark of a 141, that's £2 higher than he won it off last year. And the more I look at the race, the more I think he's got a good chance of getting out in front and making all here, which he's done before. It's tactics that suit him well in relatively small fields. He nearly pulled it off at Catterick last time. He was always in the van, but just found one too good. He's gone up £3 for that. But they have put a visor on him tomorrow, which I think is quite interesting. Just sharpen him up a little bit. If they can get him out in a rhythm out in front, he might just take a bit of pegging back at a track that he clearly goes well at. And the ground, I don't think it'll be a problem. It's going to be sticky ground tomorrow. I'd ideally like it to be, what you would term good to soft. But I think it's going to be, the clerk of the course is saying it may be tiring, he's called it. It might be hard work. But I don't think that'll be a problem for Mercy and Prince. I just wouldn't quite have him as big as 7-1. We've got 9 in the race, so he's sort of, and there's a few in the race I can't fancy. So he's sort of half looking in each way bet. I'll come back to him in a bit because, as I say, there are others, and you'll sort of see where I'm going a bit later on. The 205, the Silvagnac Conti, good little race. No, there isn't any Altior, which is a shame, but I think it offers Top Notch a really good chance to sort of enhance his reputation again. Little Top Notch. He ain't the biggest, but I'll tell you what, there aren't many horses out there with as big a heart as he has. He did all the hard work between 3 out and the last at Huntingdon last time in the Peterborough. No wonder he got a bit tired after the last. I know Cato Rico was running him down close home, but he'd got the race in safekeeping at that point. And he deserves to win another tomorrow. I think Frodon's just going to give him a lead, and I think he'll prove too good, but 10-11. Not the sort of prices that we play at on the Saturday preview. So I'm happy to just sort of watch and cheer Top Notch on, I think. 240 is the Lanzarote. Again, you've got a fairly sort of obvious one in Notre Parry, who's only had a handful of starts for Ollie Murphy. This will only be his 5th start. Has been beaten a couple of times at short prices, which is slightly concerning, but went up in trip at Aintree last time, because I think that's the key. He'd been crying out for a step up in trip. He was nicely on top at the finish at Aintree, never stronger than at the finish. So the extra furlong and a bit he's got to go tomorrow is not going to be any problem to him at all, I don't think. He's unexposed, so there should be more to come. He deserves to be at the front of the market. But with 4 places, and I'm saying 4 places, I'm hoping there'll be 4. There's 14 runners in the race, so I'm presuming that 1 or 2 of the firms are going to go 4 places. I'm going to stick with the Bestie Man, because I'm sure there's a decent handicap in him somewhere this season. He's a horse that came onto my radar last year, around about this time last year, actually, when he was 4th at Plumpton. He was 4th to Phoenix Way, just over 2.5 mile. And bear that in mind, just over 2.5. That race really couldn't have worked out much better. Phoenix Way won it. Second in that race was Third Wind, and third was Comanche Red. Now, they're both 140 horses. They're both improving. So the fact that we've got the Bestie Man here off 118 makes him look like this. There's got to be races in him off that mark. You'd be amazed if there weren't. He's not done a lot wrong in his last 2 starts. He's finished 6th to Champers on Ice at Newbury, and then 5th to Goodbye Dancer at Cheltenham. Both times beaten 6 lengths, beaten 9 lengths. So he's on the right lines. They were both over 3 mile. I think this drop back to 2.5 could be absolutely ideal for the Bestie Man. I really do. I can see him reversing earlier form with Vive La War, who finished about 5 lengths in front of him at Newbury in that Champers on Ice race. He's £4 better off, and that coupled with the trip and this sharper track, I think, are all in his favour. There is, as I say, there's a good race in the Bestie Man somewhere off this mark. There has to be, and conditions look ideal for him tomorrow. So in the hope that there's 4 places kicking around, and again, it's a race where you can rule a few out, I think. You can put the pen through 1 or 2 of them straight away. The other one I thought was moderately interesting, and I know you really shouldn't even be looking at the horse, but Tame Val is off a mark of 137 tomorrow. I mean, that's a throw-in mark on the best of his form, and it's not like he's completely gone at the game, I don't think. I mean, he's probably not really had his ground for a while, and he may not get it again tomorrow, but 137 with Conor Bray taking 3 off at a track that he likes. He's gone well here. He's a course and distance winner. Everybody's going to be looking at Henderson's other horse, Burrows Edge, but if it keeps drifting, Tame Val, I can see me throwing a couple of quid at him as well. I really can. The 315, I think there's an obvious one again here in this 315, and it's not the favourite. It isn't the favourite. I think the one that I quite like, On the Blind Side's favourite, I should have said, sorry. On the Blind Side is favourite for it. I thought he went out pretty tamely, actually, when he got took on at Ascot. He's not a horse I've ever particularly liked, I have to say. He's still on a mark of 147. That looks high enough. There's every chance he'll crash through a fence as well at some point. He tends to route 1. I don't like him at 3-1. Touch Kick at 7-2 is a bit more appealing, but again, he's got to put a bad one at Aintree behind him. He should have run better there. So to me, there's a stunningly obvious one. And again, I'm hoping the Dead 8 stand up here, because Finger on the Switch down the bottom of the handicap is doing absolutely nothing wrong at the moment. And he really deserves to get off the mark for the season. His last 2 starts, he's come up against Big Iron on his hip at Wetherby and got beaten a short head, and then he came up against Copperhead at Wincanton and got beat 4 lengths. Now, Big Iron on his hip since gone on and won the Borders National up at Kelso. Copperhead's about 10 minutes in front of his mark. He's gone on and won again at Newbury on the bridle. So he's bumped into 2 improving and well-handicapped horses in his last 2 starts. He's off 1-2-2 tomorrow. Millie Wanacott gets on fire and then takes another 7 off. He's going to feel like he's let loose in the field here with about 9-8 on his back. Again, I mean, his overall record, he's hard to win with, but he's always thereabouts. So the temptation for me is to put Finger on the Switch in a nice each-way double with Mercy and Prince, who I mentioned earlier, because I think both of them, you're getting 6-1 and 7-1. You've got chances with both of them winning, and you've got more than enough there to get both of them in the frame. But you do want the 8. That's going to be the key. You need the 8 runners here. So it may be something that I leave till sort of quite late on tomorrow, and then have the each-way bet. Even if I have to sort of take a point less than both, I still think there's value in the each-way double there. So the 8 runners is a key point, I think. And then the 345, I haven't got a bet in the 345, not yet anyway. Never Adapt, again, there's some obvious ones at Kempton tomorrow in each race. Never Adapt, again, is another sort of obvious JP one that's we haven't seen anything like the best of. Third to Repetitio at Cheltenham last time. He was doing all of his best work that day at the finish, which you can argue that, and that was over 2-1, so you can argue tomorrow that a bare 2 mile at Kempton might not provide enough of a test for him. But even so, if he's not in front of his mark off 130, you'd be surprised, and he is obvious. I'm half tempted at a whopping price by Peruvian Blur. Now with Ryan Chapman, it's been in the care of Jane Williams. He's a hard one to win with, Peruvian Blur, very hard to win with, or certainly was. His overall win record isn't great, but he's not one of these that's often run well in good companies. Thereabouts. Right-handed 2 mile tight track, ideal for Peruvian Blur. The ground's a slight concern. I'd like it to dry out a bit more. I think his best run comes on good ground. He's all right on good to soft. And the 2 runs he's had for Ryan Chapman, neither of them suggest, they're not great, but none of them suggest that he's completely gone at the game. He's finished 24 lengths behind Smarty Wild at Exeter, and he finished just under 30 lengths behind Scaramanga at Wincanton. It's not like he's 60 lengths and done for out the back. He's been on the same street and recorded 2 reasonable speed figures in the process because he's been carrying a bit of weight. Now, he should be a bit fitter for those 2 runs because we haven't seen him before that from June, so he should be a bit fitter. He's got his ideal conditions tomorrow. He's 33s in a place. I think that's just about acceptable for a small each way bet on him. Off this mark of 120, it is a nice mark. He's becoming very well handicapped, and the handicap is quickly dropping him as well. Now he's with Ryan Chapman, so 33s. He might fall in the frame at a price, is what I'm saying. And if the favourite falters, then who knows? You might have a bit of a go at copping the lot. Warwick, the classic. I think it's about the only race that I'm really interested in on tomorrow's card. The Pertemps qualifier makes little appeal for a bet at this stage. And in truth, because we've got the 15, when we've got 14 runners now, because Rocky's Treasure's out, so we've got 14 runners at Warwick. Again, you'd be looking for somebody to go each way first 4. You don't really want to be betting each way 3 places, 14 runners, I don't think, in a competitive handicap. The conditional is favourite for it, and probably rightly so. Winner at Cheltenham back in October, and then second to the Rasher Counter in the Hennessy or Ladbroke Trophy, whatever you want to call it. Up another £5. And he is going a bit further up. He is going up in trip again. So a couple of small question marks against the conditional, but he is the one that's going the right way. There's plenty of these you can make cases for. Bobo Mac always travels well in his races, and is a course and distance winner over hurdles around here. I say course and distance is actually a winner over 3-1 over hurdles. I think he'll stay. Petite Power, I love to bits. I do like Petite Power. 131 nearly, but not quite. I think we'll get him into the Kinmure. So I'd like to see him go up a pound or 2 because I think the Kinmure is going to be his race this year. I said it 2 years ago. I'm 2 years too soon with Petite Power. I've always said there's a Kinmure in him somewhere. The 2 that are interesting at the prices, Cross Park's the first one. Now, again, we had a bit of a go with Cross Park when he won the Idol last year. All Cross Park does is stay. There's 2 things that's ringing in my ears. Firstly, Caroline Bailey's interview still from Leicester about 6 weeks ago, where she was saying that all of hers, she had a bit of a virus around the yard. As such, she wasn't able to get them sort of through their full paces, and everything was a bit behind. And you could almost see that in Cross Park's run at Haydock last time, where he travelled up perfectly well into the race. He's right there at the top of the straight, and then he jumped for out and immediately got tired. He's got very tired very quickly. With that, I think the 2 runs that he's had now this autumn and winter should have brought him on. I think he should be sort of approaching his peak now. And he has bounced back from sort of moderate runs before and run really well, as he did, funnily enough, in this race last year when he was third to Impulsive Star off a mark of 135. He's off 144 tomorrow, but of course he's an improved horse since then. Because he'd run moderately at Wetherby at Christmas. So I'm not worried about the fact that the Haydock run says he's got beaten 74 lengths. I think he'll come on for that. Horses do come back and run well in this race year in, year out. And that's a big plus as well for Cross Park. Ground, absolutely fine. It should be ideal, I think, for Cross Park tomorrow. And Jamie Moore back in the saddle as well, who rode him when he won the Ida, is another plus. So there's plenty there for me at the price. It's 16-1 Cross Park, and I think that's entirely fair. And I really ought not to be doing this, but I've almost talked myself into a couple of quid on Milan's bar, and I really need to have a look at myself in the mirror. I'll tell you what the case is. I mean, you're talking about a horse here that just 2 days ago got pulled up in the North Yorkshire National at Catterick. Again, he was sort of happy out in front, bouncing away as Milan's bar does, and the moment he gets taken on, he jacks the lot in, throws the towel in, and he was pulled up within sort of 2 or 3 fences. And that's very much Milan's bar's way. If you allow him a soft lead and an easy lead, while he's doing that and bouncing away in front, he's happy. When he gets taken on, he tends to down tools, and that's it, game over. Having looked through the race a couple of times, I think Milan's bar might actually get his easy lead again tomorrow. Now, of course, don't forget, I mean, he won this race, 2 years ago, off a very similar mark. He's off 130 tomorrow. The fact that he's run within 2 days was a little bit worrying until I went back and I actually saw that when he won the race here a couple of years ago, that was a 7-day turnaround from what was then the late Welsh National. If you remember, the Welsh National had been abandoned in the December, and it got carried forward. It got carried forward to early January. And he unseated in that at about the halfway point, and he'd never gone a yard either. He never went a yard that day. And you think, well, he's had a hard race, I don't want that. And then a week later, they run this, and he comes out and he wins doing handsprings. Now, you can argue that the blinkers that he wore that day, first-time blinkers, made all the difference to him. But nevertheless, a quick turnaround then clearly isn't necessarily a barrier to success with Milan's bar. Sam Twiston-Davies takes over tomorrow. Now that might help him as well, and he's got a first-time tongue tie on. It doesn't say it's a first-time tongue tie actually in the post, but I've had a look. I can't see where he's worn one before, so I think it's a first-time tongue tie for him. So there are things happening to Milan's bar tomorrow that are different, and he's the sort of horse that will like that because he's for want of a better word, he is a bit of a monkey. He's a bit of a dog, and if you do things to him that are different, keep him, keep his mind a bit more refreshed and a bit sort of something new's going on. I think that might help him. It might just be the case that he does a circuit and a half again tomorrow, something tackles him and he's at it, he's out the back again. Equally with Sam on, I think, you've got a chance, Sam keep kicking Twiston-Davies. I think there's nobody better in the saddle for a ride like Milan's bar. And he's 40s. So I'm going to end up throwing a couple of quid at him. I know I am. I shouldn't. He'll probably end up out the back. But there is a case to be made at a whopping price for Milan's bar. Particularly given that he's won the race a couple of years ago as well. So there we go. That's tomorrow's bets. What's the best bet out of all that lot? I hope Finger on the Switch. I hope that Dead 8 stand up because I really fancy him a bit tomorrow. I think he deserves to win a race, and this could be his thing. Right, I've rambled on for too long. I will let you all go and enjoy your weekends. Have a lucky weekend. I'll be back on Tuesday. I'll be doing some more anti-post stuff for Cheltenham next week as well. I've already got a Champion Chase preview just about written and lined up for you. That'll be the next thing that we do. All right, guys, have a great weekend. Thanks a lot. Cheerio.